Hey, Heartmind with Holli fans. I am here just back in the US, not even a full day, from doing two amazing retreats at the northern side, northern part of Tasmania. The first one was an earth retreat where I guided folks through material around the earth chakra and the earth meridians. Some of people were training and learning how to apply this to their own yoga teaching, and others were there just to experience it. And this is the first step of any yoga process, is starting to ground our energy, our prana within our bodies. And then the second retreat I went on was an integration of the elements retreat for the training program, the seasonal yoga training program, an advanced program, learning how to apply elements to their yoga. It was incredible. We did a lot of puja, which is like ritual and rites of passage of becoming the teacher, becoming woman. And I just share this with you because this week has been, I've had to take a little break with the podcast, but I'm going to be jumping back in next week with an amazing episode around beauty, a week for beauty, and what that means. I've got an amazing interview with Doris Pessy, who is a stylist, a hairstylist, but in my opinion, she is very yogin, and she applies a lot of yoga philosophy to her clients and the journey she goes on with her clients. And she does see styling hair as a journey. So I'm really excited to share that conversation with you and start having conversations around healing with our beauty and also transforming with beauty and what that looks like. So this is just a really quick video to keep you plugged in, and I'm going to talk a little bit just about yoga and breath work and what I do with these two modalities and how it might be a little bit different than some might think with yoga therapy. So yoga therapy is applying yoga to therapeutically support your mental, physical, holistic, spiritual well-being. And oftentimes what happens with yoga therapy is we not always, but often counter energy. And I like to lean into the five elements. We are made of the five elements. And so I lean into looking at what elements might be out of balance and therefore counter ones that are in excess or have too much of your energy and are taking too much of the prana, and try to counter with the opposite elements. And oftentimes in Ayurveda or with TCM, Chinese medicine, we're kind of countering elements or nurturing certain elements that might be depleted. And I do this through yoga rather than through medicine that you ingest or through, food that you might eat. Ayurveda is very food based, or materials massage that you might apply. That's also part of Ayurveda, and maybe even Shiatsu, which is drawing from TCM as well. Instead, I use yoga poses, yoga discipline, and breath, and yoga insight or philosophy or self study to help balance that out. And that looks different for different folks, but there are some real standard postures and things that we go to for that. And where we apply that in a daily routine that's really important with yoga therapy is creating a daily routine like you might do with, again, some type of food or ingesting something. Here we're working with prana, we're working with your energy and your breath, and it's almost like that pose is giving you a certain nutrient that will help balance you out. So that's one side of it. And then the other side of the therapy that I do is more breath work called feminine conscious breath work. I primarily learned this through Cindy Albee, who I interviewed the very first podcast interview I had. I learned this method through her, and I call it feminine conscious breath work. And it's more yin than a lot of breath work that's out there. It's not about really energizing the breath. It's about, it can do that. It can have that effect, but in a much more softer, feminine way, yin way. It's really about bringing prana consciously into your cells and in your body, and then asking whatever's there to be present and to show itself, and then starting to have a dialogue through breath and through observation with what is there, and saying, instead of countering and changing what's happening, saying, okay, what is happening might just need to be seen through the breath and through consciousness, bringing it to consciousness. So I combine these two things to help evolve a person into the healthy version of themselves that they are longing and, in my opinion, really meant to grow into that healthy person over time. And that's the foundation of both, is that ultimately we are here to express that fullest, healthiest version of ourselves. And we often, through experiences, through genetics or dosha, we often can get stunted from that growth. Through trauma, which is a big part of my work, we get stunted. And sometimes we stay in that stunted cycle where it feels like we're in the same place 5 years ago that we are today. So how do we get out of those cycles and really grow into a fuller part of ourselves? How do we grow up? And I believe personally that life energy is wanting that growth to happen and wanting you to feel the harmony of life. The harmony of life isn't always beautiful, although it could be potentially, depending on perspective. But it does include some pain. It does include different types of tolerance for what we have deemed sometimes as negative emotion, and being able to have the capacity to hold that and listen to that and feel that, including meeting death and meeting our immortality, which can sometimes, again, be a big root of why we have some of the patterns we do, because we're so scared to look at that. And that's huge with yoga, which is fair enough. Yoga also says even the wise are scared of death. There's no one in this world that's not scared of death, okay? It's part of being human. It's part of having this system. It's built that way to survive. And part of our journey is going through that threshold of fear through what's called in yoga abhinivesha, the fear of death. And breathing through our belief systems and the truth of that and our relationship to the unknown. All right, I'm going to sign off for today and for this week. I'm sending you so much love. This is my jam. This is where I love to be, is in conversation with you and with others about the incredible, wild, crazy way of being human. So thank you so much. Travel well. Enjoy your prana. Enjoy your life force. And next week I'll be back on for beauty. Can't wait. Namaste.